What up everyone, the Jarkman here. Welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to talk about how accessories and how they help with your main lifts, with the big three: squat, bench, deadlift. So one thing I always hear is how front squats help your low bar squat, back squat. And if you have a big front squat, you're going to have a big low bar back squat. That's just what everyone says. Like, it's just the majority. That's the thing going on. It's probably, I don't know how long that's been a thing, but it's, people say it. Block pulls help with a bigger, heavy block pulls help with a heavy deadlift. So if you're doing a heavy block pull that's way heavier than your 90% max, like 95% max, maybe even 100% max, because you can do more depending on how high the block pull is. That's going to help with the stronger deadlift. If you're having trouble with, going heavier, progressive overload, you're just stuck with a plateau. And how lockout helps with bench, such as tricep. Close grip bench helps with lockout on back row bench press, pin presses that are set up higher just for triceps. That's helps for lockout, and pretty much, like, I don't know, I guess skull crushers, because I've heard that's a thing. I don't know why. And then tricep push downs. So I'm gonna start first with front squats. I hear a lot of people say front squats help with the heavy low bar squat, especially when you're in comp, when you're getting ready for a meet, when you're peaking. I think that is not true at all. Let me tell you why. Because I'm going to use myself as an example. People like to go by studies a lot and what a study says. I'm going to go by myself as my own study and what I know. I used to do front squats all the time, and I would power clean it up and then squat it, because to me it didn't count if I didn't do it. If I did it from a rack, it just didn't count. It was cheating, and I had an ego of how heavy I can go, trying to go as light as possible with going heavy, because power cleaning is harder than front squatting. So I would do that, and then Lou Ferrigno and pumping iron was a big reason I did that, because he power cleaned the weight up and did shoulder press with 2 plates and then 245, and he did 10 reps. Second time I think he did 9, he counted 10, I don't know why. But people act like Ronnie Coleman's way ahead of him, and like he's done like 3 plates on the shoulder press, but people don't know that Ronnie Coleman, I've never seen footage of Ronnie Coleman power clean a barbell up and do shoulder presses with it. Like, so in my personal opinion, Lou Ferrigno is one of the best shoulder pressers of all time, because when do you see that? I don't even think I saw Arnold do something equivalent. Power clean the weight up and then do 10 reps with 2 plates or heavier. It's very few people can do that. So if someone could send me a link in the comments, like in the actual comments, because so everyone can see it, or DM me and I can share it, let me know, show it to me, and I'll put it on this channel, because I've never seen something like that. It's just an amazing feat of strength. So if Lou Ferrigno was sitting down, and like, how most bodybuilders and powerlifters today do, it'd be a whole nother story. I don't think he had access to that. He had like a very tiny gym in New York, so I don't know, it just seems like he didn't have access, so he worked with what he had. So was I doing that to show off in a commercial gym? Yes, big time, all the way, because I had racks and I had seated. Well, not all commercial gyms have a seated, so it's pretty rare today to have a seated shoulder press. Just I've rarely seen that, to be honest. I've had friends tell me they've never seen it, but the first 24-hour fitness I ever went to had that, so I was kind of like born into it. So getting back on topic, what I'm saying about the front squat is I used to do them all the time, and then I would power clean them and do actual front squats, and then eventually I got smart, and then I would get it from the rack, and then I would start doing the front squats, and I would go pretty heavy. I mean, for me, heavy was like 225 for a 3x5 or even 5x5. That's how what heavy was for me. But I haven't done it in a while. But I'm gonna say this: a low bar squat, a low bar, high bar, whatever. Let's just say low bar squat for powerlifting, because you're competing in powerlifting. Low bar squat will lead to a heavy front squat, and I say that because I haven't front squatted, man. I don't remember the last time I front squat. Like, I just started doing it, but before this, I hadn't front squatted in 2020 since, like, literally 2016. I stopped front squatting. Like, Olympic lifts was the closest thing I did to it, but that's not even heavy, so you can't even count that, because it's not heavy front squats. We're talking about heavy front squats to have a heavy back squat. I know people who don't front squat at all, and they still have strong, back squats, obviously, low bar squats. And I just started doing them again, and I'm about the same as what I used to be, because I used to weigh about 180. In 2016, I was 170, actually. I was 170, and now I'm 205, so 35 pounds ago, and I was doing 225 for 5x5. So to me, that was strong back then, and now that's considered strong for me, because I haven't done it in so long, and I'm about the same. Like, I'm at like 185 right now for like a 4x4, but that's easy. Like, I'm just kind of rebuilding. So it stayed the same because I kept squatting, not because I was doing front squats and it got me a big back squat. So I did literally the reverse. So what I'm saying is, my back squat, to me, my low bar squat is really good without the help of front squats. And I'm doing front squats at about 185 pounds. And I just don't see the translation, because it's a different movement. It's not the same exact thing. You're very upright. Front squat is probably the hardest. It's known to be the hardest variation of squat, but in my opinion, not in my opinion. If the fact is, overhead squat is probably the hardest variation of squats there is. It's between front squat, overhead squat, and zercher squats. People say front squats because no one's athletic enough to have, you know, the bar over their head and go heavy, and everyone makes fun of CrossFitters for doing it. But just in general, like, nobody really has the flexibility, mobility, or strength to even try it. So what I'm saying is, you can not do front squats and still get a strong low bar squat. And just because you're going heavy on front squats doesn't mean you're going to have a heavy low bar, because I know people go heavy on low bar all the time and they're peaking and doing all this. Like, I've met a lot of people, and they said, oh my god, like, my squat barely went up and my front squat was going up so much. The linear progression was so good with the front squat and okay with the low bar squat, and the program was on point as an actual program. You know, it wasn't just a bullshit one they put out of their ass, and their front squat got amazing. So they thought for a fact their squat would go up, and you know, they stay stuck at like 405 on squat. 200 it's not 200 kilos, but 405 pounds, whatever the kilos is, I don't want to think right now. And the front squat, you know, was like 350, and that was like a 1 rep max for both. So it was pretty much the same exact thing. And you know, the front squat stayed, the back squat, the low bar squat stayed at 405, and while the front squat was progressing since the last program. Just like I said with my bench, my close grip bench is really strong. 2016 again, I remember I was benching and I was scared of doing 2 plates. I've always been scared of 2 plates. Not now, I rep it now. I could even pause it for 3 seconds now. But before, I hadn't even attempted 2 plates. It's something I'd never done because I never had a workout partner. I never had someone to, like, I never asked for a lift off at the gym, never asked for a spot. You know, there's always those idiots at commercial gyms that help you with 2 actual hands and curl it up for you. And, you know, I just didn't want to do that. I wanted to do it on my own with no lift off. I was very opposite of what I am today. I didn't believe in belts, elbow sleeves, knee sleeves, wrist wraps, and then now I'm all for that. Even elbow sleeves, call me what you want, I really don't care. And so I didn't even try 2 plates, and I was doing a close grip bench, and the confidence level was so much different. Like, it was close grip bench, and yes, this is bad for your shoulders. I'm not saying it's good for your shoulders, but it's bad for your shoulders doing close grip and not going up and back, just going straight up and kind of doing it like this, kind of like straight up instead of up and back like that, like a normal bench press. I would still use no legs, like I mentioned in my last video. No legs, no arc. I mean, back then, yeah, I mean, I probably used an arc. This was probably before I started arcing, actually. So no arc, no legs. It was just completely triceps. My max was 205, and I think I could have done 3. I think I did do 3, actually. I did 3 with 205 on close grip bench, and I hadn't even attempted 2 plates. So 205 for 3 is about 225 on close grip. So why is my close grip way better than my bench, even to this day? I did 200 for 3x5 yesterday, and it was easy. I could have done it for like 3x8. Probably would have been hard, but it was really easy. And my bench is like 254. Like, it's not much of a difference. I'd be like at my 221, my close grip bench. And I haven't done close grip in a year, just so everyone knows. I haven't done close grip in a year, and it's still where it left off. So it's where it left off, so it's strong for, you know, not for taking a year off, but it's weak compared to what it was, but I haven't been working it. So 200 for a 3x5, I've been consistently adding weight, and it's been easy. But I'm only like at 254 bench, so that max would I could probably do 230, to be honest, on close grip. So what I'm trying to say is I'm going to be doing close grip until October 24th, and if my bench doesn't go up, I'm not going to say, oh my gosh, my bench only went up to 259 and I've been doing close grip. It should help a lockout. It helps with lockout. People say lockout with close grip bench, it helps, yes, but I have 0 problems with lockout. Like, I don't have a single problem with any kind of lockout, squat, bench, or deadlift. Once I get it past sticking point, for me, my sticking point is in the middle, like kind of like right before 50% of the reps, like 35 to 50% of the rep, I'm getting the rep. That's all there's to it. I'm getting it. Even if the judges don't call it, I'm going to get it and lock it out perfectly. I'm not going to have a questionable lockout for me. So for people like me, if you don't have problem locking out on squat, because some people could have problem locking out on squat. I mean, you could have really weak knees, and they may not be convinced that your knees are locked out. You could have weak elbows on the bench. You may re-rack it right away because your lockout is that weak. Deadlift, I'm going to get to that in a little bit. My lockout is amazing on deadlift. I never have a problem with locking out on deadlift, especially when it matters. I mean, my last meet was my grip, but in terms of locking out, never have a problem. Now to the block pulls. People swear and live and die by block pulls, and this confuses me. How I see people with like a 3/4 of an inch of a mat, and they like do block pulls on that. It's like, damn, like, you know, that's barely anything at all. You can call that a block pull because it's technically not off the ground, but that's barely anything. Like, you're pretty much doing the same exact thing, technically. Pretty much. Almost. Like, if you had squat shoes, It's literally the same thing. So people like use like a mat, 2 mats, so the 3/4 of an inch is 75, 75% of an inch, so 2 of those would be, you know, an inch and a half. So with that being said, if you do an inch and a half or 3/4 of an inch, yeah, like I said, it's barely anything, but it's still helping, obviously, because it makes it easier. That's why we do block pulls, because they're easier. But the higher it goes, like if you have it to your shins, that's the most common setting I've seen, shins, or maybe a bumper plate, like a 25-pound. I mean, that's about right too. So people do that, and they say, you know, I'm going to do my max block pull. So if my max is 480 on deadlift, so if I do 480 and I even rep it, that means I'm going to be doing like 5, you know, they think, not me, I should be doing like 512. So, you know, 480 repping it. Let's just say I do a 3x2. Let's just say that's a block pull and it's easy. I mean, block pull isn't necessarily easier. It is higher. In my opinion, it's actually kind of hard. Not harder, but it's harder to learn if you never do it like me. I used to do it, but then I found out it doesn't help. I didn't find out. I knew that me, the weirdest deadlifter of all time, I'm really slow off the floor and I'm fast at the top. So it's very different. Like I've never seen someone deadlift like me besides Steffi Cohen, but she's a 125-pound female who deadlifts 4 times her weight, so we can't even compare. She's like, I'm literally probably 100 levels under her. But other than her, especially guys, I've never seen anyone deadlift like me. So for someone like me, very few people are slow off the floor, but someone like me that's slow off the floor, a block pull is literally irrelevant because I never, ever, ever had problems with lockout. And you could also say wherever the block pull's at, that's going to help you. That's your sticking point. Okay, if your sticking point's right at your shins, that helps. Okay, but that's only if your sticking point's at your shins. If you don't have a sticking point at your shins, there's no point in doing block pulls at your shins. I mean, if it's at your knees, and that's where you have the blocks at, okay, that's fine. But I mean, that's barely anything. You're pretty much doing a back extension. But yeah, if you have sticking points and you're addressing it and your coach knows it and you put it there, yes. But if you're slow off the floor and you pretty much got it once you're off the floor, then this block pulls are seriously irrelevant to you. So to end what I said, to recap what I said, heavy front squat doesn't necessarily mean heavy low bar squat for meet day. It could easily be you're just better at front squatting. That could easily be what it is, because I'm really good at front squatting and low bar squatting, and some people they really progress on one and not the other. You know, you could really progress on your front squat and be disappointed on your back squat and think, what happened? You know, my nutrition was there, my sleep was there, my recovery was there, my front squat was amazing, but my low bar barely went up at all. You know, you could accredit, if you get a 10-pound PR in low bar, you can accredit it to your front squat, but it's not going to mean your front squat goes up 30 pounds. Let's just say your low bar is going to go up 30 to 50 pounds. I'm not saying anyone says that, but some people have that mindset. So just know it doesn't mean that it's going to go up. It may help. It's an accessory, but it doesn't mean it's going to help, especially belt lifts. Lockout exercises like close grip bench, high pin presses isn't going to make you a great bencher. It's going to help with lockout. But if you have no problems with lockout, that just makes no sense, especially skull crushers and tricep pushdowns. That's not even the same thing. Like, you're literally standing up in tricep pushdowns, and skull crushers you're laying down, and that's like a whole nother different movement than a bench press. So if you're gonna get as functional as possible, it's gonna be a pin press, a higher pin press, or close grip bench. But don't think that's gonna get you a stronger bench just because you have a strong close grip bench. I know I have a really strong close grip bench, and my bench just doesn't progress with the close grip or without it. So stop acting like it's gonna go up like 100 pounds or 50 or 30 or 20 pounds just because you have a good lockout tricep accessories. Lastly, I just said block pulls doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna have a good deadlift. Doesn't mean you're gonna be fast off the floor. If you're slow off the floor and you're doing block pulls, those two are counterproductive. It makes no sense to do block pulls and incorporate heavy block pulls when you're slow off the floor. You should be addressing you being slow off the floor. Something would help more being slow off the floor would be a deficit deadlift, because you're higher and you're starting off higher. So once you get to meet day or whenever you max out in the mock meet, it's like this is easier, obviously. Or some bands. I mean, the best way to help you fix your deadlift, I've done bands, I've done it, like I've done a whole program for it. I was living and dying by it because, you know, Westside Barbell guys did it. It went up, but I don't contribute it to the bands because I'm still slow off the floor. So my deadlift went up, but I'm still slow off the floor to this day. And I've gotten faster from a year ago up until now, but it's not because of the bands. Like, you just gotta practice the movement, and that's it. You can't just try all these variations and live and die by them and act like they're gonna, you know, boost up your numbers like crazy. That's the end of my rant. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe.